In the darkest days of World War II, Nazi Germany swept across Europe like a nightmare, its armies ravaging the continent. Cities fell one after another, borders were redrawn, and a bloody ideology sought to spread across the world. In the early 1940s, as the war raged with full force, one man in London defied the chaos, Winston Churchill. With his stern demeanour, ever-present cigar, and sharp wit, he became Hitler's greatest adversary. Churchill was not just a prime minister, but the very symbol of a nation's resistance. His fiery speeches united the British people. His stubbornness rejected surrender. His determination kept the hope of Allied victory alive. His promise of blood, toil, tears, and sweat gave his people the strength to endure even the darkest hours of war. Yet, in the shadowy halls of Berlin, one question echoed among Nazi commanders: if Churchill were eliminated, would Britain's resistance collapse as well? That question gave birth to one of history's boldest and most secret assassination plots, Operation Long Jump, a conspiracy to silence one man in hopes of breaking the will of an entire nation. Behind the heavy curtains of Berlin, in the shadows of maps and whispers, this plan took shape, one of Nazi Germany's most secret undertakings. Operation Long Jump aimed to eliminate one of the Allies' most powerful leaders, Winston Churchill, the embodiment of Britain's steel resolve. The goal was not merely to remove a man, but to shatter a nation's morale, resilience, and will to fight. The plan was so secret that it was known only to Hitler's closest circle and a handful of elite officers. Its details were concealed within the intricate moves of spy networks, like masterstrokes on a chessboard. Nazi intelligence, through agents moving in London's foggy streets, tracked Churchill's every step. The hours he left his home, the meetings he attended, the squares where he met the public, even his routine walks, all were meticulously recorded in dossiers. Every detail was a clue for the assassination's success. Every piece of information, a step toward guiding the bullet to its target. The preparation for the operation stretched on for months, even years, carried out with painstaking precision. Communication networks, forged documents, double agents, and unbreakable codes were all employed to minimize the chances of failure. By day, Churchill was a leader whose fiery speeches ignited the people. His words were not merely political messages, but a cry that kept the spirit of a nation alive. By night, he was the strategist, drawing the lines of war and planning the Allies' next moves. His presence was more than leadership, it was the very soul of Britain. Nazi Germany believed that destroying this soul would turn the war in their favor. Eliminating Churchill meant far more than silencing a man. It was an attempt to break a nation's will to fight, its hope, and its resilience. For this reason, the plan was prepared with the utmost precision. But this vast spy network carried immense risks. Churchill was surrounded at all times by alert bodyguards, and British intelligence countered German cunning with strategies of their own. There was an eye in every shadow, an ear in every silence. Despite being aware of the dangers around him, Churchill moved fearlessly. His character was forged from stubbornness, courage, and intuition. At times, he mingled with ordinary people, walking the streets like any Londoner. Other times, he could be found on a train journey or alone in a quiet room, deep in thought. These moments offered opportunities for Nazi spies, but they were also traps. Churchill's intuition was one of his greatest weapons. He was not only a politician, but also a warrior, gifted with a rare ability to sense danger and prepare for it. Nazi intelligence struggled to account for his unpredictable nature. His bodyguards, the sharp eyes of British intelligence, and his own wit turned the assassination plot into a labyrinth. For instance, Churchill's habit of blending into crowds made it easier for Nazi agents to track him, yet at the same time, it gave British intelligence more chances to spot enemy spies. His unpredictable routines made any carefully planned assassination nearly impossible. As the details of the plan deepened, Nazi Germany's ambition grew. In Berlin, a special assassination squad was assembled made up of the finest agents, sharpshooters, and spies. Weapons were prepared, routes were studied, and alternative strategies were drawn. London's foggy streets, while appearing to host the ordinary routines of daily life, lay beneath the shadows of an invisible wall. Every street corner hid a spy, every road carried a watchful eye, every silence concealed a threat. Nazi Germany believed Churchill's death would bring Britain to its knees. To them, this was not merely an assassination, but a decisive move to change the course of the war. Yet, history had other plans. Churchill was not only a stubborn leader, he also possessed sharp intellect and powerful intuition. British intelligence had already begun to trace the outlines of Germany's secret plot. A broken code, a captured agent, a stray intelligence report, all the pieces soon connected. Operation Long Jump collapsed before it could ever come to life. The gunfire that was meant to echo through the streets of London was silenced, left only as a possibility buried in the dusty shelves of history. The most striking aspect of this failed attempt was the Nazis' belief that Churchill's death would force Britain into submission. They truly thought that by killing one man, they could extinguish the spirit of an entire nation. Yet Churchill was far more than just a man. His fiery speeches held the people together. His stubbornness rejected surrender. His determination kept the hope of Allied victory alive. A body could be destroyed, but the idea he embodied the spirit of resistance was impossible to kill. The Nazi plan failed to see this truth. Operation Long Jump remained one of history's most dramatic what-if stories. Churchill's very presence strengthened Britain's resolve, while the shadow of Nazi Germany grew smaller in his defiance. Had a single bullet found its target that day, world history might have taken a very different path. But history was written through Churchill's leadership, and the Nazi conspiracy faded into nothing but a shadow. Churchill's leadership was critical not only for winning the war, but for preserving national morale. His speeches were not mere political statements. They were a cry that kept the soul of a nation alive. For example, in 1940, during Britain's darkest days, his famous "We shall never surrender" speech united the people and reinforced their will to resist. These words echoed far beyond Britain, resonating across all Allied nations. Churchill's voice, carried by radio waves, reached into homes, inspired workers in factories, soldiers on the front lines, and even children. His leadership proved that wars are not won only with tanks and rifles, but with morale and willpower. Nazi Germany struggled to understand this truth. They saw Churchill as a target, when in reality, he was the beating heart of a nation. The failure of Operation Long Jump was not only a triumph of British intelligence, but also a victory of Churchill's own character. His fearlessness, intuition, and unpredictable behaviour unravelled the Nazi plan. British intelligence, through agencies like MI5 and MI6, tracked German spies, cracked codes, and spread disinformation to mislead the enemy. For example, when a Nazi agent was captured in London, he was found carrying a fake document detailing Churchill's daily schedule. This was a clever British trap. German agents were deliberately fed false information and diverted toward false targets. Such intelligence maneuvers played a crucial role in the collapse of Operation Long Jump. Nazi Germany's plan was not just a threat against Churchill, but also a reflection of their flawed view of war strategy. Hitler and his generals believed that by eliminating a single leader, they could break the will of an entire nation. Yet Britain's resistance did not depend solely on Churchill. The people, inspired by his leadership, stood firm with their own resilience. Factory workers laboured day and night to produce planes and weapons. Children continued their studies even under relentless bombings. Doctors and nurses worked tirelessly to save the wounded. Churchill's speeches ignited this collective spirit, but its strength came from the determination of the people themselves. Nazi Germany failed to see this truth. The collapse of Operation Long Jump may not have been a decisive turning point in the war, but it highlighted once again the importance of Churchill's leadership. Had the plan succeeded, Britain's morale might have suffered greatly. Yet even Churchill's death would not have completely broken the nation's spirit. His speeches, ideas, and unyielding will had already become part of a generation's soul. Nazi Germany eventually learned that destroying this spirit was impossible. The war ended in 1945 with an Allied victory, and Churchill's leadership stood as one of its cornerstones. Operation Long Jump remains a forgotten what-if in the dusty pages of history, but Churchill's legacy continues to live on even today.